morning. So I will be talking about the Large Millimetre Telescope, Alfonso Serrano, which is mainly constructed by the institute where I am working at in Hawaii. So I have not been involved in the construction or the decision-making part of this telescope. So the director of the telescope is David Hughes. So actually, I'm presenting his talk. So, but I have been involved all these years. 26 years I have been in Mexico, how the telescope has been progressing. So right now it's a working telescope. That's what I'm going to present. So the telescope telescope is located in the central Mexico. Mexico City is here. I'm in Puebla, it's somewhere here. So it's midway between Mexico City and the coast, eastern coast. So this is, you can't see from there, the telescope is up there. So this is the mountain, which is at 4,600 meters above the mean sea level. And by the side of that, you have Mexico's largest peak at 5,740 meters. So this site is only 2.5 hours drive from the institute, from my office, for example. So it's easily accessible in spite of the great altitudes of the site. So in fact, I can here. So this is the overall Google map. Where our institute is here. So we have a highway from which we can reach this base camp. So from that, around 1 hour drive will take you up to this 4,600 meters altitude. We are already at 2,200 meters above the mean sea level. So it's only double the altitude for us. So this is how the site looks. So telescope is a 50-meter dish, a single dish. And overall, it's, I reached in Mexico around 96. So at around that time, the discussion was the site selection. Immediately in a year's time, this site is selected for the telescope, which is basically for the nearness to our institute, easy accessible, and it's dry site because of the altitude. And construction started around 2000. Around 2006, the decision was made that first it will be tested at 32 meters. So I will show the structure of the telescope. And although it was commissioned, the first light we saw only after 5 years, around 2011, because of all the difficulties of accuracy of the surface and the difficulty in working at that height, temperature and wind. It's an open telescope, there's no dome. So, and soon it was realized that telescope requires further fine-tuning to really compete with for its size and for its, whatever was it was designed for. So later, for several years, along with this upgradation to 50 meters, the surface quality was also increased during all these 7 years. And from 2018, it's working at the specification that it was built for as a 50-meter dish telescope with a lot of instruments, set of instruments that are available. So that's what I'll be talking about. So the telescope 50-meter is a segmented telescope, but not hexagonal like the TMT what we saw other day. So it is like trapeziums. So it's around 180 segments arranged into 5 rings. You can see ring 1, ring 2, ring 3, ring 4, and 5. The 32-meter was corresponding to only 3 first rings. That's first for many years only we had these first 3 rings, and later this other 2 rings have been added to that, so that it's now complete, the diameter 50-meter. So each segment is further made up of 8 sub-panels. And so this is the size of this around I have in the next view graph. So, and it is, I think, in the world, it's the biggest diameter active surface. So, because of the gravitation and the temperature changes, the there is the constant deformation of the surface, so it has to be active so that we can realize measurements. So that it's active, there are plenty of adjuster and 720 actuators, so which keep the surface active throughout. So that is so here is the structure of that one panel. So which has the size of 5 by 2 meter. So which is it's electro-coated. So the surface it has. So as I said, it has 720 actuators, and continuously the surface is checked and corrected. So the correction checked against the expected parabola, basically. So this is the parabola that we want at any moment. So the RMS fluctuations around this surface, the aim was to get around this value, 75 microns. So after all this checking, so finally we have that value, which allows us to go to even sub-millimeter wavelength regions. So the aim is to get it to 50 microns, which requires further fine-tuning of all these actuators and which are there below this panel. So this is the what they call as photometry plots. So where the scale is millimeter, so all this green means it is less than 100 micron. Now, there are some points which are blue, so there are at the edges. So, but majority of the panels, the surface is accurate to around 75 microns. Now, that was the design specification. So right now the telescope has, it's completed. So it's a collaboration between Mexico and USA, but basically University of Massachusetts. So and Mexico has 70% time on the telescope, and USA 30%. Mexico's time is 1.7 or 2% of time is shared with the Spanish community because they have some exchange program with the GTC 10-meter optical telescope. So, and the USA time, because NFS funded the UMass money, so the USA also, rest of the community outside the UMass has 50% time on the telescope. So, part of the Mexican side, Mexican equivalent of BST is called CONACYT, so that's what funded this telescope, and from US it's NSA funding. So, as I said, by 2018 onwards, it's a 50-meter dish, which has reached the specification of 75 micron, which allows us to go to up to around 850 micron kind of wavelengths, but we don't have an instrument at that 850 micron. So we have instruments from 1 millimeter and longer wavelengths. So the site characteristics, so at 225 gigahertz between November and April, that are the good months. So the opacity can go below 0.1 at this frequency, which is extremely good even for sub-millimeter observations. So here are the different bands transmission where we can access access from this site. So we have around 5 months of very good time. Rest of the time, so it's not that good at 1 millimeter, but we can do 3 millimeter or other frequencies observations. The accuracy of the pointing, absolute pointing is around 5 arcsecond, but relative pointing can be better than 1 arcsecond. And these are the different instruments over the effective area for at different frequencies. So I will describe these different instruments soon. So this there is a redshift search receiver. So that was the first light instrument. So that is at 3 millimeters. So rest of the instruments at shorter wavelengths, where the effective area of the telescope is lesser. And the gain is almost constant against the elevation, which allows us to access the whole sky, whatever available from that side. So the set of instruments, so we have instruments both for imaging purposes as well as spectroscopy. So the imaging is basically, it's a just continuum imaging at that those wavelengths. So we had actually not even in this list now. The first generation instrument was called ASTEC, which has been decommissioned. So but now the new instrument, which is just commissioned in, is still commission work is going on, just tested in December. So it's called Toltec. It's really very exciting instrument. So which can simultaneously take images at 1.1, 1.4 and 2 millimeter wavelengths simultaneously, and with the polarimetry also. So then there is with the English collaboration of an instrument called Muscat. So which is also tested during the pandemic period. So for the spectrograph, we have the low resolution spectrograph, which is the redshift search receiver. So first light instrument, which is still working, and a new set of instruments for high resolution spectroscopy and imaging. So we can map at this high resolution. So Sequoia, which actually 16 element array, we can produce good maps. Before array, it's the band for the ALMA, which the Japanese made. So they had a spare instrument also of the same specification. So they are mounting this spectrograph on the LMT also. It works very, very good. So it's a Japanese instrument actually. So we need to collaborate with the Japanese group to access that. So, and we have 1 millimeter receiver, which is basically used for the Event Horizon Telescope project, which is available at the site. And a new instrument which not yet come is at a later date, which is a 1 millimeter spectrograph array, basically. So the same instrument, just to show you the resolution, angular resolution of these different instruments. So the Toltec imaging can be done at around 5 to 10 arc-second resolution. That's the best we can get. Whereas the redshift receiver, which is the spectrograph that is mostly used in the telescope, so that has, depending on the wavelength, around 15 arc-second resolution. The beam is of that size. And with the Sequoia, also it's around the same, the spatial resolution. Well, I didn't have time to prepare the complete science cases that can be done with this. So I think we have heard from all these big projects. So I have only illustrated some results that have been obtained using different instruments. For example, using the redshift receiver, which was constructed to obtain the redshifts of the sub-millimeter galaxies. Sub-millimeter galaxies won't be seen in any other frequencies. So, and hence we needed some instrument for its detection at the millimeter wavelength itself. So that was the purpose. So, but that instrument has the capability to take a spectra. Like other day, Mamta mentioned that with the sky you can obtain spectra like optical spectra. So we can already obtain in the millimeter. ALMA is obtaining with hundreds of lines. So this is the wavelength range basically. So it's around the 3 millimeters basically. So from around 75 gigahertz to 115 gigahertz we can obtain. And the redshift, depending on the redshift of the object, is 13 CO line, which is what most people are interested, that enters this window. So it's basically a large wavelength window. So where all these lines enter from nearby galaxies, so the starburst galaxies. So we can study the physical conditions of this of these regions using all these molecular lines. No, HCN is the most common most famous after the 13 CO. So, but we can also get all this ethanol and all these other lines. No. So I think I had somewhere, so already around 700 papers have been published using different instruments, but most of them are obtaining the redshift using this particular receiver. So redshift, obtaining the redshift, basically you require at least two lines, but the way is the spectral lines or scarcity of spectral lines at these wavelengths, even one line is enough to obtain the redshift because the chances of obtaining some other line is very few here. So just by one line, people have been able to obtain the redshift right from any value, so it's illustrated here from 1.4 redshift up to 3.6, for example. So different transition of CO, but from different levels, from 3 to 2 or 2 to 1 or 4 to 3, some line will fall in this particular band. And even from just one line, we can guess what is the most likely redshift. So that has been the main work that's carried out with this receiver. So, for example, this is illustration of a galaxy at redshift 6. So, for which in these instruments, 3 lines are detected. So that is CO 5 to 4, CO 6 to 5, and H2O water. So then later confirmed with the SMA. By detecting the C2 line, at redshift C2 line, so in the millimeter waves. So it's been very successful in obtaining the redshift, this instrument. So another instrument, the first light instrument, which is not there in the telescope right now, decommissioned. So that is called as ASTEC. It's a 1.1 millimeter mapping, continuum mapping. So this is one of the results, very exciting results obtained from that instrument. So this is the debris disk around a solar type star. So even the star is detected at the millimeter wavelengths here, and debris disk, of course, is expected to be detected because of the dust in that. So the image is illustrating also the capability to detect all the sub-millimeter galaxies. This is the aim to observe this, but there are so many sub-millimeter galaxies in this deep image. So this is reaching around 0.2 millijansky level of 1 sigma for 18 hours observations. So this image illustrates the capability of this whole system to detect these faint sub-millimeter galaxies. It's an illustration of what can be done with the Sequoia. So that's relatively new because it was tested just before the pandemic period, and after that the telescope we didn't observe anything for the last 2 years. Only right now in January again observations are starting. So this is the map of the Orion molecular cloud with 3 lines. So the instrument can be tuned to any line. So this instrument does not have a long baseline. So we can get usually only one line for observations, but you can tune into another line and make maps. So here's the map of the Orion molecular cloud in SCN, HCO plus, and then to H plus.
Sequoia can do 2 lines simultaneously.
2 lines? Only if within the bandwidth, SCN and I think these 2 lines. Yeah, if it falls, we can do. So usually I think only these 2 lines fall in a single bandwidth.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So the Sequoia also, Sequoia is the fastest instrument available at this wavelength right now. So with ALMA, for the FANS project, for example, galaxies have been observed to a depth of around 100 millikelvins, which cover an area of around whatever number here, 10 square arc minute. So that's the mapping speed achieved by ALMA. Of course, ALMA has very high resolution, 1 arc second. So with LMT, as illustrated, it's around 10 arc second at this 10 to 15 arc second. So, but you can achieve, if you want to map a galaxy, this LMT is the best one. So in 1 hour of observations, at 1 kilometer second resolution. So nobody is competing with this telescope right now. So you can always integrate more or reduce the resolution. Then you can go even to deeper levels of sensitivity. See, Toltec is the new instrument, so which is being commissioned. So that is completely funded by NSF, United States. So that is just an image of the instrument in the control room. And it is the PI is the UMass researcher, Glenn Wilson, and from Mexican scientist, Saga is the co-PI. As I mentioned, so it is simultaneously, it maps these three wavelengths, and it has a polarization mode also. So any observation gives the polarization also, and it's the numbers. Yeah, most of the numbers are already said at 5 arcsecond kind of resolution. So just 2 days ago, I was shown this image. Nobody has seen this image according to whatever the PI. So it's recently taken, and this is the 1.1 millimeter image using this detector. It can take it simultaneously takes at 1.4 and 2 millimeter also. So this is the image, but this is combined image. This image is combined with the Spitzer 3.6, which is appearing as green, and HST blue band image. It is a Crab nebula, so you can see that most of the dust is there at the edges of this Crab nebula. So this really new image. I'm seeing it for the first time. So we have a lot of proposals. Proposals open in December to observe from this month. So proposal to observe galaxies, and also we didn't know how it will come. We had all the simulation image, but this is the first time we are seeing that touch images can really be obtained using this this instrument. So just to finalize, so as I mentioned, the 1 millimeter detector was basically is from the Event Horizon telescope. So this telescope participated in the Event Horizon project to give this impression images. So first, the M87 image of the shadow of the black hole, and later into last year, these images from the Milky Way black hole also has been produced. So the Mexico's part, especially the LMT part, was critical for the success of the project, although LMT was not there in their plans when the project EST was planned. So, but then it happened that we are at the heart of the whole array of telescopes. So, and it's the biggest. So, which means any baseline with the LMT, it will be sensitive, and we are providing plenty of baselines for the whole systems. No, that means the UV coverage from with the combined with the LMT will be covering more of this UV space. So that was really good news for LMT, because it was not in the initial plan. But when they tested combining LMT, immediately the level of the map started increasing. So that's why we have been participating every year around April in this EST project. So I think that's the last one. Just to, I think since we heard all the high energy also, so I've been talking about the millimeter thing, but just in the same site, we have at the extreme right, a high energy telescope called Hawk. So this is the LMT here, which is at 4,600, just half a kilometer going down. So we have this water cylinders, so which is called the high altitude water Cherenkov array. So this is the blow up of this around 300 water tanks, big water tanks. they detect the Cherenkov radiation using 3 preemptives, and with that, this is a very small budget project, and it's been able to map the sky and detect many gamma ray sources. So that has been, it's completely automated. Nobody needs to be there. So from the base camp, they can control the entire system here. So that's the last one I have. So thank you. I'll stop it there.
Yeah, it was really nice to hear about LSTs.
Thank you.
Just, very nice one. The question is about Sequoia.
Yes.
About Sequoia and Toltec. So Sequoia is having OTF mapping on the
Yeah.
plane mapping.
Yeah.
So is Toltec going to have a pole position switch or OTF mapping in polarization mode? Because that's going to be really revolutionary for.
No, it's a scanning only. Mapping
So
is.
scanning, I'm saying. So
Yeah.
if it is a scanning polarization, that's the really good thing, because existing for millimeters or millimeter parameters, they generally give us position switch, which is kind of we miss something.
Yeah, this is scanning only. Yeah.
That's a good thing. So when are we going to have a platform for that?
First flight from Toltec.
Yeah. When is
That the image I showed is the commissioning image, which is official, not at commission.
Okay.
Actually, this week I think the WAS meeting where they are also US is involved. So it's like somewhat official commissioning is not done, but the image has been being released.
Maybe
Long live India and France friendship.